Welcome to the Create and Grow Show. I'm your host, Georgi Todorov, and today we have a super interesting guest with a super interesting topic. His name is Stuart Carter. He is an affiliate and partnership specialist, global business development manager at Vika Missions Media Private Limited Company. Hi, Stuart. How are you doing?
Hi, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you as well. For some context, for our listeners, I met Stuart at the Affiliate World Conference in Barcelona last summer, and he offered me some ideas how to monetize website traffic from countries like India and Pakistan. So in this episode, we're going to discuss this, how we can monetize traffic from third world countries such as India, Pakistan, and the Philippines. This is something that Stuart can help us.
Lee.
All right, Stuart, can you tell us more about the ways, the methods to monetize that traffic from those countries?
Sure. I think first of all, it's an important topic that you raised that a lot of people kind of neglect. If you're running campaigns in English, if you have sites in English, or you're running any kind of campaign in English, the chances are you'll pick up a lot of kind of Indian, Pakistani, African traffic along the way, and people really don't do a lot to monetize this traffic. Maybe they'll set up AdSense and they'll make a few dollars from the AdSense, but people really don't invest a lot of time in monetizing this. And in a lot of cases, it can be 30-40% of somebody's traffic. So it really is kind of worth investing some time in looking for a more profitable solution.
Absolutely. Let me tell you about the website that I sold last year, thrivemyway.com. I had a good chunk of Indian, Pakistani, and traffic from the Philippines, maybe 30% or something like that.
Mhm.
And this traffic didn't bring much money, especially when I checked it on Mediavine, because on Mediavine you can see how much money you make per country. So, for example, traffic from the United States brought me something like 30, 40, 50, $60 RPM, and traffic from India brought me like $1, which is just huge difference.
Sure. I think that you have to understand the differences between the markets to monetize the traffic properly. You need to understand a little bit the kind of the ecosystem of the country that you're talking about. So, for example, if we use India as an example, because it's a country that we work with at V Commission a lot. The way that they purchase goods from the internet is completely different to how they purchase products on the internet in the US or Europe. Mainly because the prevalence of credit cards are a lot less.
Mhm.
So people tend to purchase two ways. If it's a digital product, they have a system in India, a very good system actually, called UPI, which is basically a payment wallet, I guess you'd call it, similar to PayPal, but a lot more kind of universal. And they
Mhm.
make a lot of their purchases via UPI. So if you're kind of advertising a digital product, then you need to make sure that the company that you're promoting to your Indian traffic has UPI, so these people can actually make the purchase, because we've seen that makes like the difference between having UPI and not having UPI in a campaign would be kind of an 80% uplift in conversion. So it's very important. Or if it's more of an e-commerce kind of product that you're selling or advertising, then cash on delivery is the most popular delivery method in India. So again, making sure that the product that you're selling is available via this method. So it's really about kind of spending a little bit of time understanding the market, and rather than just treating it as an extension, a less profitable extension of kind of the US and Europe.
Yeah, because the difference is so significant. It's like 30, 40 times less profit if we compare it display ads on Mediavine, for example. But
Yeah,
that's very interesting that you mentioned. Basically, people there don't use so much PayPal, and if we don't have this method UPI, then they will not be able to buy, and we we don't make any money out of that
yeah.
traffic.
I mean, there are now these markets are developing both on the customer side and on the business side. So there are. I'd always recommend for people. I think obviously we went in Barcelona and you were looking to monetize this traffic, and I think that for people in a similar situation to you, I mean, that I'd recommend them to take similar steps to what you did, which is kind of make an effort to reach out to people who are in this space in that country. If you're, the affiliate kind of industry in India has grown hugely over the last few years. So there are now very good agencies that specialize in this space. So if you have traffic in that area, reach out to, it's only a quick Google or a LinkedIn search, or asking some online a question. You can soon get put in contact with people who know this market well and can recommend offers that are that tie into your traffic, that are actually tailored towards that market. So I think we're very lucky that the world is pretty small now with regards to our ease in which we can communicate with people and find people with expertise in different markets and different areas. So it's about just making a little bit of effort and taking that step to do something about it.
Absolutely. And tell me, is there anything like that, any niches or industries which are impossible to monetize in the US or the European Union because very heavy regulations? I'm speaking about niches like loan, gambling, crypto, casino, and there are no regulations in India and Pakistan which allows us to push those offers exactly to this type of traffic.
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously the market's probably less heavily regulated in these countries, so that there are opportunities that exist. Some regulation does still exist. For example, in the trading space in India, there's some regulation, so you kind of need to be careful of that. I think again, it's really about before. I'd always say that if you're thinking about specific offers, you need to make sure that the offer is relevant to the traffic that's on the site. So really, it's really more about. I'd recommend to somebody always, okay, well, what's your blog about? What's your website about? Then you need to find a an advertisement, a product, a company to promote that ties into what you're talking about. It's there's no point dumping ads for crypto on a blog that speaks about fitness and wellness. You're better off going out and finding a supplement brand or something like that works in the market and knows how to run in that specific country than you are just throwing up a crypto ad because you can.
Yeah, that makes sense, of course. Do you recommend affiliates, bloggers to go to uh, the most famous affiliate networks such as CJ and find partners there to promote their products, or to look for any local India or Indian or Pakistani affiliate networks and
I mean, I think
platforms?
it's always good to get the local knowledge. As I say, I mean, obviously, companies like CJ and these big affiliate brands are excellent, but they're very focused on their main markets. So while they'll probably have the offers that you can run in these countries, there is probably just an extension of an existing offer that they're running in the US or running in Europe or whatever. So I think that it already depends on kind of how much of a traffic you have, I guess. I mean, if it's you're not running a huge traffic and you already have a relationship with the affiliate network, then they can help you get some offers up to test and you can go there. However, if it's a big chunk of traffic that potentially could be worth a lot of money to you, then it's definitely worth trying to find some local, some local knowledge and some local understanding to help you also kind of know how to promote the ad as well, just in addition to finding the offer.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell me about this Indian equivalent of Amazon. I remember that when I tried to monetize general Indian traffic that was not very focused on a particular niche, you your team told me that we should try this e-commerce website that they sell everything basically.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, like if you're, I think we're talking about Flipkart here, but which is, as you say, like a kind of localized version of the Amazon space. So similar, if you've got like a very general blog, or it's broad in its topics, then there are options like that which you can always run on. But I really recommend. I mean, I'm sure that you'd probably agree. You need to talk to your audience. You need to be relevant. Marketing at its most basic level is kind of having the right offer in front of the right person. So, and that's universal, whether you're promoting to the US, whether you're promoting to Europe, whether you're promoting to India, Pakistan, or South Africa. You really want to make what you're promoting relevant to the people that are seeing it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, I'm asking in that direction because most of the bloggers actually get this traffic as a byproduct. They are focusing on traffic from the US, Canada, and for some keywords where is more search volume from India or Pakistan, and all of a sudden they receive this traffic and they can't monetize it very well.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's about these sites are great for figuring out what works for you, especially as you can kind of get inside the numbers afterwards. You can see, okay, if the people are buying from Flipkart in this case, or Amazon or whatever, you can obviously go inside and see what they're buying. And then if that starts to become kind of profitable for you, then you can niche down and perhaps kind of find offers outside of those marketplaces that can do well with. But I think kind of my overriding point is that people need to kind of ultimately, like as you say, it can be 30% of your traffic, and while 30% of your traffic will never be 30% of your revenue, because obviously the economics of the countries is difficult. Um, 30-40% of your traffic could be 15-20% of your revenue if you monetize it properly. So kind of it really is worth spending, to like making a little bit of effort. I think sometimes people make effort in the wrong place. They'll kind of will fixate on what does this button look like, this placement, this ROI, whatever, and then we'll just throw the AdSense article up for India for 30% of our traffic, rather than spending 2 hours talking to a network or somebody who knows what they're talking about to get kind of better adverts or better kind of offers for this market, because we've kind of locked it into our minds that this isn't going to work, or that there's no value in it. And I think that's not the case. I mean, a lot of these countries are developing at a very fast rate economically. India's growth is, for example, is like one of the most high growth countries in the world at the moment economically.
Hmm.
With the average person has a buying power that's similar to a lot of kind of countries in Eastern Europe. So, I think sometimes we're a little bit disrespectful to unintentionally perhaps, but disrespectful to the kind of the potential that exists inside these markets.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you mentioned something important as well, that we still need to be realistic about this traffic and realize that these economies are not so well developed yet. And for example, if in the US the average income is $50,000 per year, uh, in India it is $2,000, 25 times less. So we
Yeah, I
shouldn't
mean,
be.
I think typically it's a bit better than that. Especially, I mean, what you need to understand is it's very for countries like India, it's very difficult to you can't really throw the whole country together as one.
Hmm.
I mean, it's 2 billion. It's a billion people. It's a lot of people. So
Yeah.
there are very wealthy people that exist in there. There's a very thriving middle class, and obviously there are people who don't have any money. So um, again, really, it's about kind of really just about tailoring it to who comes. So if you're writing a tech blog, then the people who are reading a tech blog in English are going to have a certain level of education. They're going to have a certain level of, but probably with that certain level of education comes a certain level of wealth. So there's no reason to think that you couldn't pitch them a 20, 30, 40, $50 um, VPN product or antivirus product or something like that on a tech blog. It doesn't have to be. We don't always have to go for the kind of the cheapest possible option.
Yeah, of course. And another thing, for example, I'm from Bulgaria, and I can compare the psychology of people here to the psychology of people from the US. People here don't like to spend money on anything, especially before. They have this thinking that, oh no, I'm not spending for this, I'm not buying that. If I can borrow, I will not buy it. So I can imagine that in India and Pakistan, it's something similar, even to higher extent, and people don't like to buy things. Maybe they share, they exchange, they borrow, but buying something would be the last option.
I think that I think obviously kind of in the US or kind of Western Europe, the amount of money people have and their attitude towards kind of online purchases is a little bit different. In that they're more kind of frivolous and more ready to be spontaneous about getting rid of their money. I think when you come from a country like Bulgaria or India or something, you ultimately you'll if you feel like something's going to improve your situation one way or another, then it's that's why you'd purchase it. But it's no, I do agree that people make less spontaneous purchases. I definitely focus more
Hmm.
on products where the value to the person buying them is kind of clear and upfront, rather than something that's just kind of a nice to have.
Yeah. And are there any products that are different? For example, something that is more popular in India or Pakistan that people in the US don't buy?
Um, I mean, I think for example, if I touch on the company I work for, we've recently launched kind of e-commerce and Nutra products for all across India. Um, and we find that the wants of people are kind of similar. People are people ultimately, and somebody wants to lose weight, somebody wants
Yeah.
to have better skin, somebody wants to this gadget solves a problem for them. So I think we don't need to we're not ultimately people are people, and they're not there are similarities and there are differences, but we don't need to kind of focus so much on the differences. I think more the greater part of being successful in this niche is really just kind of cutting down the friction, making it easy for these people to work with you. And
Hmm.
it's about having an offer that speaks to their wants and desires. It's about having payment options that they can use and that are frictionless for them, and and it being presented in a way that kind of speaks to them. So I don't think that, I'm sure there are some things that I always look at these countries a little bit like they're kind of 5 or 10 years behind where we are in the UK, where I'm from, or kind of the US or wherever. In so much as it's what we wanted 5 years ago or 10 years ago isn't very different to what we want today. Just the delivery method has changed a little bit, and kind of the way it's presented has changed a little bit. But I think for Westerners that offers a really great opportunity, because it's almost like we can look at what's historically worked well in the US and Europe, and kind of with small tweaks make that available for these markets and have great.
Yeah, it's a very